Hello everyone, hope you are safe and keeping well. Welcome to Know Your I in the Identity. This webinar focuses on knowing yourself a little better and exploring different parts of you. I'm Anjali Pillai, psychologist from Team SafeStories and your facilitator for this webinar. Before we begin, I want you to quickly take a look around you and find the things that might be representative of who you or your identity is. It could be your identity card, your designation, a photo frame on your work desk, some funky stickers on your laptop, or even the lack of any of these. This means that we are not all that far from our idea of ourselves and how we assert them in different ways. But it is often true that these ideas may seem to not change over a period of time. And that's not because you are not evolving. It could just be because we do not have enough structure to map these changes. So, if you have been feeling like you don't know what you are really up to, or that there is no purpose to any of this, or if you've been perhaps feeling helplessness in even knowing how to help yourself, or like you need to pay some attention to yourself, then this webinar has reached you just in time. This webinar will help you with creating awareness and making spaces for reflection, for personal growth and development, aligning your identity with your career, identifying the who in the multiple conflicts that you might be having, building resilience and learning how to be more adaptable, and leading the way to finding purpose in life. Now, before we move ahead, let's first explore a little in the seemingly difficult space of self. As you can see, there is a tree with few branches. All you need to do is follow the prompts given on the screen. As you can see, first is to fill the thicker branches of the tree with circles and on them the different aspects of your life. Then you draw leaves and fill the leaves on the tree with the different roles that you play in your life. Then you create some blobs around these leaves and around these different aspects of life and add the predominant feelings that you may be feeling in these different aspects of your life. Let me show you an example of this. As you can see here, there are some circles, some leaves, and some blobs. On these circles, you need to fill the different aspects of your life. For example, work, relationship, parenting, etc. On the leaves, you need to fill the different roles that you play in these aspects of your life. For example, in a relationship, you might be playing the role of being a wife, a husband, a girlfriend, partner, boyfriend, etc. In the blobs, which are in black color, you need to add the predominant feelings that you may be feeling in these different aspects of your life. Let me again show you with an example. As you can see here, there are circles that says friendships, relationship, just me, work, family, academics. Now let's pick up one primary aspect of life. Let's pick, say, family. In the family aspect of your life, you are playing perhaps the role of a daughter or a son or a brother or a sister or so many other roles. Now, in the blob closer to that brother or the role that you have mentioned, I've written that the primary feeling there is that of being unheard, right? So in this way, take few minutes and then map the different aspects of your life, the different roles that you play, and the general feelings that you might be feeling. Now, it's also possible that when you put down the feelings that you are feeling, there are multiple that is coming up for you. And it's okay, you can still put down those multiple feelings that you are feeling around playing that role in that aspect of your life. I hope that activity was able to give you a rough picture of how you are placed in these different roles in different spheres of life. Now take a minute to reflect on what you were able to take away from that activity. It is possible that you may be unsure of what it has left you with, and in that case, my suggestion would be to understand that this was a starting point to knowing yourself a little better and in zooming out and looking at the multiple identities that you hold. Now moving on, this next activity is to help you understand some of the discrepancies that we all hold in who we are and who we want to be. We will further understand what this discrepancy may mean to you and how we can bridge certain gaps. In this activity, as you can see, there are two sections. One is who I think I am and two, where I want to be. Now put down 5 pointers on what you think of yourself in the column of who I think I am, and 5 pointers in the column of where I want to be about what you would like to be. Right? It is possible that while you do this activity, it is difficult to keep a track of all the things that you want to be and all the things that you are. In that case, you can put down the ones that are significantly coming up for you at the moment. You may also notice that there is a huge gap in who you think you are and where you want to be at the moment, but that is absolutely okay because our attempt here is to also bridge that gap, right? So I would invite you to also be a little patient with yourself and understand that you have already taken this first step to bridge that gap between where you are and where you want to be. Now, some examples that you can put in both of these columns could be, in who I think I am, you could write about, an example for this could be that I think I am a decent person. And where I want to be could be, I want to be a more kind person. In who I think I am, to be more specific, you can also pick these different aspects of your life that you mapped in the previous activity, right? You could pick up in terms of relationship. You can write that I think I am a good partner. In where I want to be, you can then further write that I think I want to be a better understanding, a better listening partner. So this is just an example on how you can be as generic and as specific as you want. You can further put down, say, some of the specific actions that you want to take in the future where you see yourself as a better partner or a better parent or just a better self. If you were able to fill both of those sections, great, you've aced it. Now, you must have noticed that there are certain gaps in the current idea of yourself and who you aspire to be. And before we jump into how you can reduce this gap, let's see what this does to you and why it is important in the first place to even work on this gap. The gap between who you are and who you want to be creates dissonance. There is constant friction between how you are and how you might not be able to be who you want to be. Let me make this easier and give you an example of how this could look like in real life. For example, in your work life, if you think that you are not an efficient employee and want to be an efficient and solution focused employee, then there will be a constant fight within yourself about not being able to be what you want to be. You might in fact feel more dissatisfied with your work and your engagement with your co-workers. And the constant internal conflict then leads to us masking. We wear a mask of what we want to be, and does that mean that it will make things easier? Not at all. In fact, it makes it even more challenging because now you need to continue wearing the mask of being who you are not, and that brings about exhaustion and lack of authenticity in what you do. Hence, as you can see here, the gap between who you are and who you want to be really creates dissonance and there is constant masking. It hampers your growth. There is persistent friction within yourself and also outside of yourself with your people around you. There will be lack of purpose and direction. There will be dissatisfaction at work, personal and social life. And there will be lower levels of adaptability because all of your energy is constantly gone in masking. Now that we know why there has to be more congruence between the current self and the aspired self, let's slowly shift to understand what needs to be done to actually bring about more congruence and reduce the gap. First, you identify your mask. You identify what masks you are wearing around and whom, and how it is helping and not. I'm sure that the masks that we wear have some function to it, so let's not completely discard but understand them better. Then, acknowledge that these masks have been built over a period of time, hence, it will also take some time to find a way with less of its influence. After this, find smaller ways of keeping this mask aside. It could be by bringing about more elements of what's more true to you in smaller spaces of your life. For example, if connecting to your roots is one of the things that you aspire for, then find ways to include perhaps its dietary practices in your routine. If communicating authentically is something that you aspire for, then express to your partner how that looks like for you and include it in your daily life. The most important part is this: be realistic in what your goals are to reach your aspired state. Don't expect yourself to ace this since day one. And don't keep abstract and bigger goals. Keep them crisp and to the T and see how that makes a difference. Let your goals be specific and sustainable, sometimes measurable, more relevant, often achievable, and time bound for starters. That we know few things about how to express some more parts of ourselves, let's look at an example and see how someone else could also do this. This case study is about Kiran. Kiran is a 30-year-old man and feels like everything is falling apart and doesn't know how to clean his mess or where to start. He feels like he needs to relook at his career, his romantic relationships, friendships, and his own peace of mind. Where do you think he should start? Now is the time to apply everything we have seen so far. We looked at different aspects of our life, our roles and feelings around them. We looked at how we see ourselves today and where we aspire to see ourselves, and even learned few important ways of reducing the gap between our identities. I would encourage you to take few minutes to think of what Kiran could do in his scenario and potentially move forward. If you were able to point out at least 4 from these 6 boxes, you are doing really well. Let's now explore some of the things that Kiran could do. Let's pick one aspect of Kiran's life and see what he could do. Let's say Kiran wants to relook at his relationship in life, and in that case, he could first identify where the relationship currently is and where it could be. Then he can identify the different masks that he might be wearing in his relationship. Now, does this mean that he's being fake? Not at all. It just means that there are some areas of his role as a partner that might need some more support to show up authentically. Then he could identify the obstacles that he is facing in being what he wants to be. Then he could start with his plan of action and specific things that would help in improving his relationship. Of course, he won't be able to do this without support, but he will definitely have to lead his part of the efforts. Then he can assess with his partner, of course, if these new changes are working or not for both of them and for the relationship, and if anything else needs to be relooked at. They can do that together, of course. Here is my favorite part: acknowledge and celebrate. This is a new step for Kiran, and leading change in patterns is not at all an easy job. And he has been doing it with courage and kindness. And why should he not celebrate that? Celebrating new patterns also motivates us to continue our affirmative acts and to continue to lead change. I want to take a minute, of course, and acknowledge that all of this can't be done by yourself. You will need support in different forms from your loved ones and people around you. And I would encourage you to find ways to actively seek that. You do not have to do this independently. Let your loved ones also witness the journey of self-awareness and change that you have set yourself upon. Now, let's quickly sum up our key learnings and see everything that we have been able to learn through this webinar. First, we understood the significance of self-exploration and how it facilitates our career as well as personal growth and development. Then, through the tree activity, we found a new map of ourselves. We explored the different aspects of life, the different roles that we play, and the feelings that we experience. Then we looked at the strategies to regulate discrepancies in one's idea of self. And finally, we learned some self-paced techniques to explore your identity at your own convenience. I hope you are left with these learnings too, and feel free to rewatch at different points of your self-explanatory journey and what different things resonate with you at different points in time. Thank you for patiently listening to me and for engaging in the activity carefully curated for you by our team of therapists. Remember that these activities are purely self-paced and to be used for your journey of knowing the I in your identity. We advise you to not be dependent on these videos in case you are experiencing thoughts around self-harm. And this is definitely not a substitute for therapy. With that, I will pause now and invite you to leave us a feedback on how this video might have helped you and what you are taking back today. Take care, be safe.